you guys.
Yeah.
By the way, I was asked to say that if you're our branch manager, get out of this room and get into that room. As much as we love you, that's where we're going to be. Shrishti, you missed your quote. It was beautiful though, thank you. Everybody, Shrishti. I'm not wearing the incredible blue pants right now, but they are pretty incredible. Is this it?
Yes.
Yes. I once saw a performance of, thank you, Natasha. Where's Natasha? Thank you, Natasha, for the introduction. By the way, I do want to say, I don't know if anybody else is going to say it, but I'm going to say it. We don't know the work that's done by, this team behind the scenes to make this event work. So we really appreciate you guys. She's talking and I'm listening. We appreciate it. So she's working behind the scenes. So let me see if I know how this works. Hang on. There's a little button like this.
Green arrow.
Yeah, green.
Top green.
Top green. Oh, okay, got it.
There you go.
Hang on. So the first one, okay. So my first one didn't get in, but that's okay. All right, okay, good. All right, I'm ready now. That was practice, that was a dress rehearsal. I once saw a performance by the late, great Nina Simone. Probably none of you have heard of Nina Simone, but she was a great jazz singer. And she was very, very, very old at the time. This is an anecdote before the talk actually really begins to wake me up. And she comes out and she's escorted out by Sting and Elton John and James Taylor. She's very old and she's escorted out and they're all helping her. And they help her and she's walking and she's walking and she's walking. And she sits down at the piano and then they all kind of go over to the other side of the stage and they kind of sit down. She's like an old, oh, that's her. Carrie, another one, oh my God. So this is Nina Simone. But this is not what she did. She just sat there. And you have to imagine like a very old lady just sitting there as there's an audience looking. And we're looking, and she's sitting there. And we're looking, and she's sitting there. And Elton John and James Taylor and Sting are looking. Kind of. And she has the microphone, right there, right? And you hear from, she's sitting at the piano, right? And you hear, now. And Sting goes, you can hear him across the stage. Yes, now. And then she starts playing like she's a genius. It was just bizarre. I think she died like a year later. You can listen to her music. She did some good recordings. But it was just mind-blowing. It was mind-blowing how out of it she was until it was time to do what she was going to do, what she was great at. Because she had done it so often, so many times, that even though she was totally out of it and barely present, the moment it was time for her to play the song that she had prepared, she killed it. She killed it. It was so moving. And it was moving because she knew in her every fiber of her being that her job was to move people and to change people. And she knew it. She knew it like we know the English language. She knew it like I know my clothes. Oh, that's good. She knew it. So I'm going to ask you a question. Now listen, I know that it's 9-something in the morning. I promise you it's the same time for me as it is for you. So, I get it. A great message is a partnership. A great message is a partnership between the speaker and the people who are listening, the people who are here, and hopefully the people who are actively listening. So I want to make a deal with all of you. Can we make a deal, yes or yes?
Yes!
Thank you. I'm going to make a deal. I am going to bring it at 9-something in the morning. I'm going to bring it. And I ask that you bring it, because I can say the most incredible stuff. But if you're not with me, if you're not taking this conversation and pulling it towards you, it doesn't matter. Or I could give a mediocre speech. I'm not going to, by the way. I'm going to bring it. But I can give a mediocre speech, and if you're listening to learn, if you're listening to the gold, if you're going for it, if you're bringing it, pulling the conversation towards you, you're going to get a lot out of it. So I'm going to promise to give you a level 10 speech. What level? 10. What level? 10. Awesome. And I want you to give me level 10 energy, listening, intention, bringing it towards you as well. Everybody with me say aye. Aye. All right. Thank you. Let's do this. What is your job? What is your job? What is your job? What is your job, sir? Sell knives. All right. You walked right in. Yeah, good. So here's the evolution of a rep. There is an evolution of a rep. And when we started our business, that's exactly what we do. We sell knives. But then, as we overheard somebody say earlier, after a while, we're selling sets. And then over time, we're selling kitchens, we're selling packages. That's what might be going on in that room, a conversation about that kind of stuff. Because she's talking about cookware right now, in that room. And by the way, as good as my message may be, I promise you, if you're in this room, where you want to be is in that room. But the only way to get into that room for the next time is to get good at this stuff. To get great at this stuff. And this stuff never fails you. This stuff never goes away. Like Tyler Park said, this stuff is the bread and butter. You have to get it. You have to get it. You have to flip the switch in your mind. Where set is the only thing that makes sense. Because I know you've heard this before, but I could say everything. I could say all the good stuff. But if you don't get it, if you don't get this, nothing else matters. If they buy 1 or 2 knives, they're not that happy. Look how sad that poor smiley face is. But you know what's about to happen. They buy a set. They're happy. We're going to talk more about why and the psychology of human beings. But people do like stuff. George Carlin, who inspired Jerry Seinfeld and Chris Rock and that guy, who's smiling when I said his name. He said, when you go to other people's houses, you ever notice all the stuff they have? All the junk they have? And he's like, because people love their stuff. Why is it that when you go to other people's houses, their stuff is S-H, you know what, and your S-H is stuff? People love their stuff. And people really love Cutco. I'm going to tell you that people forget what they spend. How many of you have seen a customer who had Cutco and they didn't know what they spent on it? Show of hands. Look around the room. That's almost everybody here. People forget what they spend. They're ultimately going to be better off. I'm going to share with you 3 mindsets. 3 mindsets. Oh, good. This was created by John Berghoff. You may not know who John Berghoff is or was, but John Berghoff had the record for a push period until Tyler Park broke it last year with $70,000 in a 2-week push. 14 days. These are the 3 mindsets. I want you to write this down. I want you to get this in you in the same way Nina Simone had her performance. Can I get an oh yeah? Oh yeah! This is gold. Here we go. That's not it. John Wasserman, DVM. That's not it. And it's gone. Where's the rest? Thank you. Good night. What are we doing? We're going to work it out. Am I going to tell you the mindsets? Yeah. I have them on this sheet of paper. Where else to look out? Summer conference too. Boom. All right. 3 mindsets. As they're working out back there. Mindset number 1. The more they buy, the happier they are. The more they buy, I know. Let's talk. The more they buy, the happier they are. I'll show you what I mean. The more they buy, the happier they are. Would you rather have like one stroller or a set? Hey, you got on the right stroller for the right jobs. Aren't you glad you don't sell strollers? All right, I'll prove it to you. 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 Ever go shopping? All the time. I picked the right people for this one. Now, if you just buy like a pair of shoes or gloves, how do you feel? It's okay. Okay. Buy. Because the more they buy, the happier they are. You got it. So true. All right. Guys, usually video games. I'm just gonna get real. You ever buy a video game? Yeah, I got the right guy. All right, well, what if you buy a video game system? It's much better, right? Because the more they buy, the happier they are. Okay, that's the first mindset. Here's the second mindset. The customer is always closer to buying than you think. The customer is always closer to buying than you think. So let's elevate that. Let's elevate that. How can we make that better? The customer is always closer to buying a set than you think. The customer is always closer to buying a set than you think. Many of you have already sold a set to somebody you did not think would buy a set. Yes. Right? Yes or yes? Yes. Absolutely, of course you have. So just realize that you're closer to selling a set than you think. Here's the third mindset. Now first a question for you. Show of hands, how many of you sell on more than half of your appointments? Show of hands. Look around, keep it up. Okay? That is almost, thank you. That is almost everybody. So therefore, it's a fact. Thank you. You should be doing your whole appointment assuming that your customer is going to buy. Do your whole appointment assuming that your customer is going to buy. So that every single thing you do is assuming that your customer is going to buy. By the way, that is not positive thinking. That is not like, oh, assume the sale and think until you make it because it's a good thing. No, because logically, mathematically, most likely, your customer is going to buy. That's the math. That's the reality. Oh my goodness, wait. Yes, what now? Do I do this? Are we in? Did you get it? Yeah. 3 mindsets. 1! Yes, 2! This is say in Jamaica. 3! 3! Now, wait, hang on. Now, take these notes with you. Carry them around you during this post-conference pop time and use them and love them and never forget them, because these could be touchstones for you. The more they buy, the happier they are. The customer is also supposed to buy sets that you think. Go into your appointments assuming your customers are going to buy, because anything else is an argument with reality. All right. So that is what you need to get. Now let's do the easy way. Who likes the easy way? Can I get an oh yeah? Oh yeah! Oh yeah! Oh yeah! The easy way. Here we go. Say sets a lot. What a nice candles, Mrs. Jones. Okay, here are the two places in the appointment where you can really say sets a lot. The company page and the Forever Guarantee page. Here's the easy way. Whenever in the appointment, you would say knives. Substitute the word sets. Exactly. So you say, the first, come on back with me. The first, thank you, was made in 1949. All of our are made in upstate New York, in Olean. Our have been purchased for more than 17 million customers. They all love our absolutely. That's what you do. This is the Forever Guarantee for your is guaranteed to last forever. The first part of the guarantee for your is the Forever Performance Guarantee. If your ever breaks, chips, cracks, fades, melts, we will repair or we will replace your forever. Second part of the guarantee is the Forever Sharpest part for your Cutco knives will stay sharp for many years, but if your ever gets dull, you get the picture, right? How many times can you say that word in an appointment? So that's how you do it. Now, if you do that, they will ask you some questions. We'll come to the second one in a moment. First one, let's talk about this. How many of you have been asked after you cut the penny, how much are those? Show of hands. Are you ready for the perfect, wonderful answer to that question every single time? Can I get an oh yeah? Oh yeah! Now first of all, when they ask you that question, that's a good thing. Here's why. Because if they say, how much are those? That is an indication of interest. That means they want to buy them. Or at least they're interested, or else they wouldn't ask the price. If you see something and you don't want to buy it, if you see a moldy bagel, you don't say, how much is that moldy bagel? You go, that's disgusting, I don't want that. But if you see something that you like, you're like, how much is a slice of pizza here? Right? So when they say that, that means that they're interested. Now here's what you say to answer it. By the way, there are two fun ways to answer it. Here's the first fun way. It's really silly, but for some of you, you might enjoy this. They say, how much are those? You just go. No, really, how much are those? That's the first way. I'll tell you the end. The second way. Take them apart. They're very expensive, Mrs. Jones, so most people just buy half. And they'll laugh, and you'll laugh. See my little XD? We're good with the emotion. Hey, go, Mrs. Jones, I'll tell you everything at the end, don't worry. We'll get take it all, cover it all at the end. By the way, if you ever feel like you have one of those customers who wants to know everything all the time, what you do is you do what I call the table of contents. I do not do this at every appointment, but I sometimes do it. I give them a table of contents. After I share my goals, I say, so Mrs. Jones, what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell you about the company, I'm going to tell you about knives, I'm going to tell you about our knives, and I'm going to go over our good. And then at the end, and some of the other items that we made, and then at the end, I'm going to go over prices, and you can decide if you want to get anything, see what you want to get. Okay? Smile and nod, she says understand, and there we go. Now, if you say that word, what word? Yes. You're ahead of this. If you say that word over and over and over again, they are invariably going to ask you a question which goes something like, but do I have to buy a set? Is that the answer? Okay. Here's why I say that's not the answer, although it's cute. The reason why it's not the answer is nobody wants to be forced into anything. People like to have options. In fact, there's actually a technique in sales, this is advanced, But there's a technique in sales called a push away, where you show them something like the ultimate, and you say, this may not be the set for you. You push them away toward the signature, or a homing. Haha, you like it. Okay, here's what you say. Here's the really cool answer. Mrs. Jones, you can get any configuration you want. But most people buy a set because a set is a better value. Smile it up. If you do not like the word configuration, you can say you can get anything you want. But most people buy a set because a set is a better value. All right. Now, St. Francis of Assisi said, I seek first to understand, then be understood. And I want you to remember this as I go through the next part of this message. By the way, I'm not getting any time. Can someone give me how much time I have? Someone?
20 minutes. 20 minutes.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you. So, oftentimes we do the reverse, right? We want them to understand us. We want people to understand us, and then we'll understand them. Okay? And I'm telling you right now, whether it's with Mrs. Jones, your boyfriend, girlfriend, your friend, some random person, that doesn't work. You need to first understand if you want to be understood. Seek first to understand and then be understood. And to help understand your customer, you want to ask discovery questions, right? You heard this in your training, but we don't always do this. Now, you can do discovery questions at a number of different times in the appointment. You can do it at the beginning as part of what you've been taught as a rapport section. By the way, I will tell you right now, this is very complex, but I'm going to share it with you. Can you take something that's complex? Can I get an I? Aye. All right, this is complex. I do not build rapport. I'm just telling you that. It's a totally fine concept. I don't do it. I establish rapport, and I build relationships. I establish rapport, and I build relationships. I do not have a rapport section. I have a section that I would call a warm-up. How long have you lived here? How are you doing? Blah, 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 blah. Nice to meet you. Let me see your house if you want to show it to me, whatever it may be. But my whole appointment is rapport. Everything is rapport. Discovery questions are very useful because it helps you understand who that person is in the kitchen. And by the way, your customer, write this down as a bonus, your customer will tell you everything you need to know. Your customer will tell you how to sell her if you ask the right questions. You can do this at the beginning. If you have not asked this kind of cavalcade of questions before you move forward with the next part after the guarantee and start showing sets, make sure you ask these questions. How often do you cook? Once a day, twice a day? If they cook more than 3 times a week, I should say, wow, that's a lot more than most people that I see. They're like, yeah, probably it must be. She knows. And by the way, it's true. Do you cook because you like to, because you have to? What are the types of things you like to cut? If they don't know, feed them. Do you ever cut like this? Do you ever cut that? Name some things. How often do you entertain or have family over? How many place settings do you set? Do you ever, every once in a while, sometimes, occasionally, ever make a sandwich? Do you ever, every once in a while, sometimes, occasionally? Okay, I'm going to say one more thing. So, about the guarantee. Now, this is not an objections message, but I will tell you, you heard it from your manager was right. The best way to handle an objection is before it comes up. The best way to handle an objection is before it comes up. So, this is how to handle what we call the smokescreen objection. Let me think about it. Okay, let me think about it is a smokescreen objection, meaning that's a lot of smoke hiding a true objection underneath. Okay, keep that in mind for the future. Here's what you do. When you get to that 50-day, unconditional, money back, guarantee, what you say is, Mrs. Jones, get ready, you're about to. This is the sample plan for your set. This is the sample plan for your set. So, the way this works is this allows you and your family to try out your set for 15 days after it arrives. All you do is you put down a 1/5 deposit on your set. You get to try it, use it, love it. If you're with the wife and not the husband, you can also call this the husband and wife clause. This is the husband and wife clause for your set. If for any reason your family doesn't love it, if for any reason, like try it out, use it, cook, cut stuff up. If for any reason your husband doesn't love it, watch me for 1 second. If for any reason your husband doesn't love it, all you do is you just send back your husband. I'm just kidding, it's a joke. If for any reason your husband doesn't love it, all you do is just send it back, send back your set, and we'll just give you back the deposit right back on your card. If you love it, but there's one knife that you're not using, you can just send that back and your other 4 deposits will be less. Now you want to make sure that you're clear with your customer. So practice this with your manager. Role play this with your manager, because the confused mind never buys. But if the customer understands how that works, she'll buy every single time. Most of the time, she'll buy a set. Okay, so, but make sure you practice that. This is a sample plan for your set, allows you to try it in 15 days. All you do is put down a 1/5 deposit, you get it right away, you try it out, and then for any reason you love it, you send it back, get your money back, get your deposit back. Assuming that you love it, you charge that same amount 4 more times, so it's 5 months total. August, September, October, November, December. Get it right away. You don't finish paying for it until the leaves are off the trees. Okay. That's all that. Question. Are you ready for magic? Yeah. And again, oh yeah. Oh yeah. I'm going to teach you something. Listen. If you do this in your appointment, you will sell sets on the majority of your appointments for new customers, people who've never seen Cutco before. Seriously. So if you do this, if you don't do this, you won't. But if you do this, you will sell a set on the majority of your appointments. Here's what it is. Before you turn the page from the Forever Guarantee, after you've asked the discovery questions, by the way, when you ask the discovery questions, she's just told you how to sell her. She's told you who she is in the kitchen, what she cuts. You now know that. And then you say this. Mrs. Jones, I'm going to show you a couple of our different sets. We have large sets of people who love to cook. We have medium-sized sets of people who cook just because they have to. And then we have small sets of people who don't do anything at all. Mrs. Jones, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to show you a couple of our different sets. We have large sets of people who love to cook. We have medium-sized sets of people who cook just because they have to. By the way, do you guys have the handout for this talk? It's a one-page handout. Oh, Jackie has the handout.
Perfect.
Okay, let's not hand it out now. At the end of the talk, you're going to get a handout, and when you see it, you're going to go, oh. Okay, because that handout is this, visually. It has pictures of 3 sets, a basic set, medium set, large set, all on one sheet of paper. And you can put it in your Blue Book, you can hole punch it, do whatever you want. Very nice. And that is our gift to you here at this conference. I can see you're excited about that. So now, you remember what St. Francis of Assisi said. See, you've just created the context for buying a set. Because if she loves to cook, what is she going to get? No, what set? The ultimate set. If she loves to cook. If she likes to cook or cooks just because she has to, she's going to get the right. And if she doesn't cook at all or hates to cook, she's going to get right, the homemaker or the basic set. You just created the context. You created the context rather than her creating the context. You just told her how it goes. So if she's like, oh, I cook because I have to, So I guess I'm the medium set person. Okay. Now, by the way, she may feel differently. She may disagree. That's totally fine. Customer's always right. But you've just shown her how things usually go. You've explained it to her. And you've got to use this phrase word for word. Don't change it. I know people who are like, oh no, I'm going to change it just a little bit, and then they don't get the results, and it's like, well, JPB said, and I did it the way he said it. No, you didn't. You didn't. Do it this way. When you get to 50K, 100K, 1.2 million, do it your way. Seriously. You can still bring your personality to your appointment while still saying it exactly like this. Okay. Now, this is important. After you say this, nod your head ever so slightly. So you say da-da-da-da, and then you have a small set of people who don't do anything at all. If she nods, she's just agreed. Nod her head. People don't buy because they understand what you're selling. I know, right? Like the brain's starting to explode a little bit. I can tell. It's all right. Stay with me. Keep breathing. People do not buy because they understand what you're selling. They buy because they feel understood. Example, infomercial. You're watching all this stuff. It'll do this. It'll do that. It's made of this. You don't know what you're buying, but you know that someone's buying that stuff, or else they wouldn't have those things on. I bought a friggin' thing that folds up for organizing papers. I didn't understand what it is. I was like, I'm disorganized. Help me organize my life. And they were like, this will help you organize your life. It'll help you organize my life. I'm disorganized. Help you organize my life. 1999, 95, whatever. Yes, fine, sure, whatever. Because I felt they understood me. I really bought this thing. I have it. Actually, I threw it out. But I had it for a while. And it wasn't a big deal. But people buy because they feel understood. So you ask those discovery questions, you show them how things work, the different kinds of steps that you can buy. So if they hate to cook, you understand that. Of course you hate to cook. Some people hate to cook. And then you tell a story like Tyler Park said, my mom hates to cook. That's why she loves this set, because it makes it easier for her. She's in and out of the kitchen more quickly, blah, 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 blah. Everything is either your mom or your sister. I don't have a sister, so I have cousins. Make sure you say this. Every single time. Every single one. Names and uses. Now, your manager did the right thing, giving you every single names and use for every single piece. Your manager did the right thing doing that. Because there are going to be times that you need to know the different names and uses of a paring knife. There are going to be times that you need to know the different names and uses of a trimmer. There are going to be those moments. But you do not want to share every single names and use with your customer. You want to have it for when you need it. It's better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it. But you don't want to do that every single time. Because if you share every single names and use, they're going to be like, well, I don't do that. So maybe I don't need that knife. Does that make sense? Yeah. If they don't do XYZ thing, they're going to think, well, maybe I don't need that. You know, the butcher knife. By the way, you want to sell homemakers? Sell two knives with a butcher knife. So get that if you don't have it. And the chef's knife. You can sell those two knives, you will sell a lot of homemakers. I never call the butcher knife the butcher knife. Mrs. Jones, do you ever, sometimes, every once in a while, cut a melon? Oh yeah, I cut a melon. This is your melon knife. That's what it is. Okay. It's a melon knife. They don't need to know everything they can do. If they cut melon, this is a melon knife, there you go. Also, this is your squash knife. They never cut squash. But you'll know earlier because you asked those discovery questions. So the point of names and uses is not to teach them anything new. The point of names and uses is to come to a quick agreement with them on what the pieces were meant for. Remember your discovery questions and answers. If she told you that she doesn't cut tomatoes, the trimmer is not the tomatoes. What's the trimmer for? Maybe she likes lemons. Lime, when she likes lemons and limes. So, Mrs. Jones, this is your lemon and lime knife. like my lemon and lime. Right? Yeah, it's my lemon lime. Oh, it's my lemon lime night. Perfect. Got it. Great. That's what I do. Because she's already